Good afternoon, ladies, gents, and Pikachus. May I have your attention, please? This will be a public service announcement, a very rare one. I want to speak to you about something which is happening now and is only likely to get worse in future, and I want to show you the evidence of why this directly involves you and the survival of your nation and your very life. Let's talk about jihad. I'm your host, Daily Corvid. Let's get started. Now, most of you know me from my work reading and breaking down and analysing this book, The Quran of the Muslims, the faith approach where the Muslim takes his attitude from. This is the underlying ethics of the Muslim. This is what they believe. But it can be mistranslated, misinterpreted. You know, you could have a conversation about what this means. And you could leave that conversation with each person having a different view. That's generally what happens. And that leads to misunderstandings. So allow me to guide you in the ways of Muslim law. This is a book written in plain English bullet points and cannot be misinterpreted or mistranslated. This is the penal code, the actual law of the Muslim. Any Muslim in the world, all Muslims in the world, must submit to the law of this book. And the reason is because it says its authority comes from Muhammad and therefore Allah. So, let's read about why we should never ever trust Islam, and we should absolutely make it our business to know what they are thinking and doing. This is what they are thinking. This is what they are doing here. So let's get started. Apologies in advance for my stuttery tone today. I stayed up all night researching and studying this, reading it to make sure this video was perfect. So let's get started. Rule number 9A. The jihad. Jihad means to war against the non-Muslims and is etymologically derived from the word mujahada, signifying warfare to establish the religion of Islam. It is even known as a lesser jihad, and as for the greater jihad, that is the spiritual warfare against the lower selves, which is why the Prophet said as he was returning from the lesser jihad, "We have returned from the lesser jihad in order to fight the greater jihad." Now think about that. How devious, deceptive and sneaky is this guy Muhammad? He's on the lesser jihad, fighting and killing non-believers to establish Islam in other countries. He's on a occupational conquest for Allah's cause of the jihad. But the first thing he says is, when I return from the jihad, then I'm fighting the greater jihad. So straight away you think, he's coming back from a war, so he hasn't got a war on anymore. But what we're going to find out is the greater jihad is planning the lesser jihad. So it is all one big jihad which ends in the non-believer being murdered. That's how they can get away with it. They tell you the permissible lie that it's a religion of peace. They definitely don't intend to rape your daughters, burn your house down, steal all your stuff and kill you, take over your whole country and wipe out your culture. No, definitely not. It's a religion of peace, only not if you read their actual law code, as if you were a lawyer. So let's carry on. You'll enjoy this. The scriptural basis for the jihad, prior to scholarly consensus, which is, Islamic scholars deciding this is the truth, is such Quranic verses as Surah 2 verse 216. Fighting is prescribed for you, though you dislike it. Surah 4 verse 89. Slay the non-believers wherever you find them, turn them out of their homes. Surah 9 verse 36. Fight the evildoers and the idolaters utterly. Such hadiths as the one related to Bukhari and Muslim, that the Prophet said, and this is Muhammad speaking to Muslims, so this is the proof. This is Muhammad proving to Muslims through his own life and his own speech, which remember they have to do, why the jihad, lesser and larger, one big jihad against the non-believer is so important. Quote, I have been commanded to fight the people until they testify that there is no God but Allah, and that I, Muhammad, is his messenger, and perform the prayers of al-Fatiha, and pay jizya and zakat. If they say it, they have saved their blood and possessions from my wrath, accepting for the rights Islam holds over them. And their final reckoning is surrender to Allah. End quote. So let's think about that. First it says, fighting is prescribed for you, though you dislike it. Slay them wherever you find them. Turn them out of their homes. Fight the evildoers and idolaters utterly. Like, just take those three sentences apart, one by one. Fighting is prescribed for you, though you dislike it, is saying to the Muslims, you must go to war with the non-believers in the jihad, even though you don't want to, you may dislike it. Allah is commanding you through Muhammad, and he's going to give you Muhammad's life as an example. If you are a Muslim and you believe in Allah and the last day, your life is about one thing, O Muslim: jihad against the West. Go and kill the non-believers, even though you don't want to, even though it's scary and it's not beneficial to you, brings you no profit. You are not important. Islam is the important bit, O Muslim. That's what this means. 2. Slay them wherever you find them. Turn them out of their homes. Tells us where this is happening. It is not a defensive jihad. It is not someone invading a Muslim country and they're just sticking up for themselves like they claim, because we know. Slay them wherever you find them. Turn them out of their homes. So they are in our homes, turning us out of our homes. They're not at their home, they're at our home. And they are going to slay us wherever they find us, when they're turning us out of our homes here. And the last one, fight the evildoers and idolaters utterly. Now think about it. Even though they dislike it, they are commanded to war in our countries to turn us out of our homes and slay us. And it even specifically says, fight the evildoers and idolaters. Now think about it. Evildoers in terms of this book, the Quran, means anyone who doesn't worship Allah and say that he is the one true God and that no other religion exists, and also hating on Jews and Christians. Idolaters means people that worship anything else apart from Allah at the mosque. So this is directly telling us Muslims are commanded against their own will, which is taken away by the Al-Fajr prayer. They are commanded by Allah, go to all the other countries, kill everybody else who is not willing to worship only Allah. And the reason you are killing them is because by way of not surrendering to Islam, they are evildoers, they are idolaters. And you must fight them utterly, at all times, in all things, every single day until you die. That's what this means. That's the jihad, which we are seeing now, despite their denials and their religion of peace shtick. It is nonsense. We know from reading this, and now we physically know their law is that jihad. This is what this whole book is culminating in. This is what we're seeing in Israel, what we are going to see here, if we don't wake up to this and get ourselves prepared and resist this now, while we still have time. The hadith reported by Muslims says, quote, to go forth in the morning or the evening to fight in the path of Allah's jihad is better than the entire world and everything within it. End quote. Think about that. To go forth in the morning and evening, so all day, every day, your whole life, to fight in the path of Allah's jihad, which as we just described means a physical war against everybody, which results in their slaughter for the propagation of Islam in all other countries. That jihad, morning and evening for everybody, is better than the entire world and everything in it. So that means everything in the world and the world itself means nothing. You can destroy it. You don't have to care about it because the jihad is more important. So that means they can destroy the environment. They can kill anyone they want. They can destroy people's cultures or laws. They can do anything. It doesn't matter what damage or havoc or catastrophe that they cause. As long as it's in the service of Allah's jihad, then it's okay. And if they don't do it, they are an infidel and a criminal. Other Muslims will come and punish them. That's what this says, as we'll find out. Let's carry on. Details concerning the jihad are found in the accounts of the military expeditions of the Prophet, including his own military forays and those of which he dispatched others into. The former consist of the ones he personally attended, some 27 jihads, others say more. On the latter expeditions he sent others to fight, himself remaining in Medina, and these jihads numbered in 47. So we know he had 27 jihads before they took over Medina, which by the way used to be a free country which was not Islamic, mainly populated by its own culture and its own regional religion, Sabbateans, which is like pre-Christian people, and Hebrews, which is pre-Jew people. So everyone was there, it was a free culture, a free country, everyone was happy. Muhammad turns up with his religion of peace, and they let him settle there and preach. Where are those people now? Well, they're dead. There is only one religion in Medina now, one culture, and that is the culture of Muhammad, post-Jihad Islam. But I'm sure they got the same lip service. Oh, it's a religion of peace. You're just evil. You're not diverse. You're discriminating. You're Islamophobic. I guarantee that's exactly the shtick they gave to the Medina's people. So anyway, we'll carry on. Oh my God, this is... Get this. The obligatory character of the jihad. That means you are obligated. The character of the jihad is that it is an obligation. You don't get a say in the matter, and you are obligated. You know, it's like when you have a child, you're obligated to feed the child. In being alive and a Muslim, you are obligated to kill the non-believers in their own countries, turn them out of their homes and slay them wherever you find them. So says Muhammad, so says Allah. Religion of peace, though. So let's read. 9.1. Jihad is a communal obligation. When enough people perform it to successfully accomplish it, then the obligation passes. Quote from Muhammad. He who provides the equipment for a soldier in jihad has himself performed a jihad as well. And Allah having said, quote, this is Allah talking now, those of my believers who are unhurt but sit behind are not equal to those who fight the jihad. Allah has preferred those who fight as a whole degree above those who sit behind. And then it cites Quran Surah 4 verse 95, which says, Allah has promised a great reward to those who fight in his causes. So we know his causes is the physical jihad, despite me doing loads of videos in the past and Muslims going, oh, this evil Jew, he want to corrupt what Allah has said. No, it says in your law code, brother. Your jihad is against me in my country under the guise of friendship, but you are telling a permissible lie so that you can do Allah's cause of jihad and slay me and my family here in my country. And the reason you're doing that is to get the promised great good reward from Allah and not to be punished by him. It carries on. If none of those concerned ever perform jihad, and it does not happen, then all Muslims who were aware of this are guilty of sin through not taking up their obligation. So think about that. If it turns out that the jihad fails, that is to say the rest of the world survive and the jihad is defeated, there can never be a jihad, every single Muslim alive is punished by Allah as having committed a great sin because they did not fulfill their obligation to murder everybody else and spread Islam. This is their law. Understand that. Our law says don't steal or you'll do prison time. Don't rape or murder. Pay your debts. Don't let your dog crap on the grass. Our laws are moral and decent, even though some people don't agree with them. Some people think we should be able to do drugs or we should be able to commit suicide or we should be able to have abortions. Well, we can have abortions, but I disagree with that. So our laws are based on a kind of basic morality. This law is based upon conquest, occupying foreign lands so that you can murder everybody within them and take over their culture so that you can reinstall a new culture, Islam, at the expense of everybody and their culture and their futures. That's what this means. The first case is when they are in their own countries, in which case jihad is a communal obligation, and this is what our author is speaking of when he says, Jihad is an obligation on foreigners, meaning upon the Muslims in each country. So when they are in our countries, they claim it in their heads and they call it their country. So our country, Britain, is now a Muslim country according to the Muslims that live here. And that means they are then going to call their jihad against me, who actually does live here and was born here. They are fighting me as an invader. I am an invader to them, even though they just moved here to kill me. Now it's their country, they call me an invader. That's what this means. The second state is when non-Muslims invade a Muslim country or near to one, in which case the jihad is obligatory upon the inhabitants of that country, who must be repelled by the Muslims wherever they can. That just confirms it, doesn't it? So I'm not called a foreigner, I'm called a non-Muslim, because this country is now Muslim according to Muslims. Even though it's our country, and they just moved here, and they lied to us to get in, and lied to us to get a passport. They come here with like 7 daughters, where it's actually their 7 wives, and each one of them gets a house on the social. We make these guys rich overnight, for free, give them peace and freedom and loads of money, and they want to kill us all. That's what their law says. Let's carry on. Sorry, this still shocks me, even though I spent all night reading this. It still just surprises me. How let down are we by our governments, by our media corporations, by the BBC specifically? How little do they respect and care about our safety when they have been selling us the idea of the religion of peace for the last 40 years, and not a single one of them has bothered to read us this, which is their law code active now, current, or this. But they are quite happy to call us Islamophobes or racists when other people bring these points up. These are valid, fair points. Keep that in mind next time you see the news, specifically BBC. Fuck these guys. They are liars. They don't care about us. They're in it for this at our safety's expense and our children's expense. So we need to know this, because at the end we're going to get to how we make sure this does not happen. Thusly we defeat Islam. 9.2. Jihad is personally obligatory upon all those present in a country, provided one is able to fight. If unable because of illness or death, or because one's mount is dead, you must go to a weapon or a mount. So what that means is there's only 2 reasons why you're not allowed to fight the jihad. Because you're sick, or because you don't have a horse and a weapon. A car and a weapon would be these days. And if you're in that group, you have to go and get a car and a weapon. So you're either fighting the jihad, planning to fight the jihad, paying for the jihad as part of the planning so you can fight it later, or the only reason you're not allowed to is because you're injured in the jihad, or because you broke your weapon or your car broke down and you are off getting a new one so that you can return to the jihad. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Please somebody, anybody, tell me how we have Muslim politicians in this country knowing this is what they are following. This is their law. If they call themselves Muslim, this applies to them. And I won't have any of this nonsense about, but they're just flavour culture Muslims. That is a permissible lie, as we've been going through in the last couple of months of videos. And I won't have any of this, but there's different sects, there's different groups, maybe they don't all agree. No, they are all listed in here. And this applies across the board to every single Muslim. And if they don't do this, they are a criminal. Other Muslims will come and kill them. Honour killings, it's called. So let's carry on, get to the end. Who is obliged to fight in the jihad? Those called upon to perform the communal obligation of the jihad is every able-bodied man. Every able-bodied man. The objectives of jihad. This is the main bit. After this, we're going to summarise and we're going to figure out how we deal with this without making ourselves sinful Satan worshippers like these guys are. 9.8. The Caliphate makes war upon the Jews. The Caliphate makes war upon the Christians. The Caliphate makes war upon the Zoroastrians. And they must be invited, whereby if they do not come to Islam, They must pay poll tax, jizya, defined in section 11. Like, we're not going to read that, but you know what jizya is. Jizya is a Jew tax. Jews or Christians must pay jizya, otherwise they get their heads cut off. That's what that means. Until they become Muslim. So you only pay the jizya temporarily. Ultimately, they want you to become a Muslim while you're paying them that money. You're paying them a tribute, effectively, so that they don't kill you immediately. But when the jihad's on, if you are not Muslim by that point, off with your head, you're dead. And then it has Allah once again speaking out the Quran in a quote. Quote, "Fight those who do not believe in Allah and his final day, and who forbid not what Allah and his messenger have forbidden, who do not practice the religion of Islam, being of those who have been given the book," i.e. Jews and Christians. So this is specifically saying, fight everybody, but more than them, fight the Jews and Christians, because they have another book, and we want to get rid of that book, and we want to make sure they are not getting in the way of us converting everyone else, because they know Christians and Jews are never going to worship Allah. We know Allah is Satan. We have read their filthy, disgusting book, their evil ideologies listed in there by Allah. We will never do that. We will die first. So that's what they're suggesting here. Kill those guys then, and everyone else can become Muslim. "I am the last. There will be no prophet after me." Muhammad, in a quote bubble, speaking about himself. Rule 9.9. The Caliph fights all other peoples until they become a Muslim. Even idol worshippers and others, they are only permitted to live under the protection of an Islamic state. The sole exceptions to that are apostates from Islam and idol worshippers who are Arabs, neither of whom has any choice but to submit to Allah. Religion of peace, eh, Muslims? Remind me again how any of that is a religion of peace. Remind me how any of that is compatible with Western democracy, Western open culture, with the ideas of diversity, equality and sovereignty of the individual. Remind me, while you are planning your lesser jihad to separate us all from our heads and rape our daughters and wives and take them as slaves and kill everybody for your God, merciful Allah, police be on his name, remind me how that's peaceful. Because it don't seem very peaceful to me. Remind me why you have to kill Jews and Christians so that everyone else can submit to you. Surely if the existence of Jews and Christians is preventing everyone else from being Muslim, maybe there's something to that. If you have to murder them in order to force everyone else to submit to Allah, perhaps Allah is Satan, like I've been telling you, you dumb Muslims. Anyway, so let's get to the point. That's the jihad, lesser and greater. It's all one big jihad. They are fighting it now, because remember what Muhammad said, when he returns from the lesser jihad, he's already fighting the greater jihad in his head, planning to go back to the lesser jihad. That's what's happening now. And if we want to safeguard ourselves and rescue ourselves from the coming death of this jihad, save our country and retain our peaceful lives and our culture, we need to ensure that we do not get outnumbered by these guys, because that is how they describe it. When they outnumber us 2 to 1, they will start collecting resources and weapons to fight the lesser jihad. When they outnumber us 5 to 1, they will start getting into position, which is like the go. When they outnumber us 10 to 1, bang, that's when you start murdering all the non-believers. So think about it. How many Muslims live near you? How heavily outnumbered are you? I can tell you around here, just around the corner from me is a whole 2 blocks full of Muslim families, and each one of them has like 8 kids. There's about 4 Christians in this area and 2 or 3 Jews. We are outnumbered far greater than a 10 to 1 amount. So that means those guys already have designs on me and my friends, Christians and Jews here, and they are going to come here, slay us where they find us, turn us out of their homes, so that they can proclaim Allah to everybody else, because the only resistance is me and my Christian friends and those 2 Jews. So that's why they have to kill us, because we are the resistance against this war. That's why they use the permissible lies and the false allegations to try and say Christians and Jews are evil. They cause all the problems in the world, because they want to get everyone else who doesn't believe in anything, who's effectively ignorant of this, he hasn't read anything about this, doesn't know anything about it, they want to get their public opinion on side to prepare them for conversion, submission to Allah, surrender to Islam. So that's how we prevent this. Tell everybody you know to watch these videos, read these books. Like I always say, if you don't believe me or you have any doubts as to my factual accuracy, buy and read one of these. Buy and read one of these. Think it through, and then realise they are telling you permissible lies to validate and function the jihad, which results in your death, my death, and the spreading of the evil cult of Islam, this nonsense ideology, in every single country. Because Allah says, Allah owns East and West. The bounty of the earth is a property of Allah, and he gives it only to his faithful Muslims. Everybody else he sends to his evil fire to burn like coals. And I quote, their bones and flesh will fuel the evil fire. Then the paradise can be created where they get their holy virgins. That's the reward for fighting the jihad. You get a big holy mosque and holy virgins, but only after you die. So everyone needs to die for this religion to be perfected, and that is what they are working towards. They are seeking death, not just for you and I, for themselves. The religion of peace, ladies, gents, and Pikachus. That's it in a nutshell. So, tell everyone you know. Accept it in your own head. It's not nice. I wish it weren't true, but it is. Read, study, learn, know what's coming. Then you won't get the knife in the back. You will be facing your enemy when they approach. And God willing, we will defeat these evil psychos. These foamy-mouthed, genocidal, racist, murderers and rapists will get nowhere. And we will retain control of our peaceful culture and our nations and our homes. So that's the end of this video. Bit of a long one, but I hope you enjoyed that and you learned something, and I really hope you listened. God bless you all, and I'll see you lovely people in the next one. Bye now. It's time for that soul searching, people. We don't have long left. Pray to Jesus, learn what's coming, and prepare yourself so that we can gain victory over these evil, demon worshipping psychos. That's the end of this video. God bless you all, and I'll see you next time.